Hello, people. Welcome to the next episode of Late Friday Night's Banter Blitz. I'm sorry for this somewhat late start. Have some technical issues. I do hope that it will not affect the quality of the stream, seriously at least. And let us start playing. So, I came back from Grenke Chess Open, great event. By the way, a lot of guys from Chess 24 participated there. So Lawrence Trent, Nicholas and Melanie Lube, Lucas Winterberg as well. So we all played not that well, I guess. But I don't know the result of Lucas, by the way. So it would be nice to find out. So let me know on chat if you can. So I scored 6 out of 9. The same result was shown by Lawrence. If I'm not mistaken, the same result was shown by Nicholas. And, well, everything says that, we could have played much better. It was a bit disappointing, at least I think so. All right. Nevertheless, let's come back to streaming. Actually, it was a big gap, a big break, long break, if compared to previous moments when I came to the tournament. So, it feels like I'm doing this like from scratch. Okay, so don't judge me harsh tonight. Okay, so Lucas says Dunning beat me in the last round, so 5.5 out of 9 at the end. All right. Well, at least you played against Dunning, right? So at least you played against a good opponent. So I failed to play anyone better than 2300s. So let us start with guys I've never ever played before. As usual, 2-3 games against these guys, and then I come back to normal order of challenges. So let's see. I don't have a lot of challenges today, so probably will be not so easy to find somebody I've never ever played. But anyway, I will try to do this. Yes, here is one guy I can see. Premium user, so everything is good. Accept the challenge. And let's play. So e4, let's try something not very typical. Not very typical. For example, what to try? Knight to c6, let's say. I've never played this as black. I mean, even in Blitz games, but want to try. So this is so-called Kalashnikov. And let's try even this one. I know it's bad. Probably not that bad, but still interesting if white knows the theory well. Queen to d1, yeah, the best move here, obviously. Because if queen goes to f6, then it's possible to take the queen. And it's probably the best option for white. But if queen goes to e7, if you take, I take with the knight. And then I play d5, knight b4, and there is bishop f5 possibility. That's the point. That's why against queen e7, it's better just to go back. Okay. Bishop to g5. One of possible moves. I prefer just knight to d5 when I play as white against this system. After knight e5, e5, I simply have pair of bishops, just play c4 then, very simple play. But bishop g5 looks also like an option. There is a threat of knight to d5, so I guess bishop e6 is more or less forced. Let's play that. And bishop d3, a bit passive, I guess. A bit passive. So let's clarify the things with the bishop on g5 immediately. Feels like still knight d5 was an option, an interesting one. Now I control d5 sufficiently, so there is no knight d5, bishop on d3 is a bit misplaced. I can do a lot of things here. I can simply castle. I can think of playing knight to b4. I can think of playing knight to g4, let's say. So hard to say which one is the best, so I'll start with castling. Maybe I shouldn't even hurry up with all the things. I can play b5, by the way. But then what? So if I play b4, not sure if it gives me anything. Alright, after queen d2, well, it's very tempting to play just knight to g4, actually. Grabbing this dark squared bishop. So if I take one of the bishops, especially if I take this dark squared one, I'm happy, because I just gave up my dark squared bishop, so white had the typical advantage pair of bishops. Now I just... Okay, he doesn't want to give me this bishop so easily. And I missed this bishop b6 move, actually. So you can imagine my shape, my current shape, because, well, it was so simple move. Bishop to b6. I forgot about it. Alright, so let's play then rook to c8. h3, alright, now goes back to f6. And castles. Alright, so this is a bit risky, I guess. This is a bit risky. So what about knight b4 now? Attacking a2, creating a sort of probably just taking on c3 with the rook, because if queen takes, there is knight a2 fork. If bc3, then the pawn structure becomes completely damaged. Does it make sense? I mean, if I just take on c3. That should be interesting, but if after that my knight goes to a2, after king b2, it may be trapped sooner or later. So I have to be careful here. Have to be careful not to blunder. So rook c3, a takes b4 is also a possibility, by the way. So I don't really achieve anything. So maybe just to take on d3 instead, to play rook c6, then rook to c8, so play just positional chess. I think it makes sense to prepare everything carefully. So at least I gained some tempo, right, because of that bishop on b6. I guess it was a bit more interesting for white to try bishop a5 and then bishop b4 attacking d6. On the other hand, this bishop can be trapped there later, and well, I don't think I lose my pawn on d6, so I have rook c8, knight e8 at the very least, just protecting it. And bishop on b4 is a bit misplaced. Maybe, I'm not sure. So now I think it starts making sense to take on c3, then to play d5 to try this typical sacrifice. At least it looks much better prepared than before. And now d5, right? Just attacking a3, attacking e4. Looks nice. e5. Okay, let's take on a3 first. Tempo move, grabbing the pawn. Now let's take on d5, but I'm not sure with the bishop or with the knight. Both look very tempting. Both look very tempting. So I guess taking with the bishop is a bit more promising. Rook is under attack. I want to play knight e4. Yeah, let's do it. And let's take on c3. Protecting the bishop on d5. But bishop d2 is possible, by the way. Now I can play queen to c1, queen to a1. But maybe it makes sense just to attack the queen first. Does it make sense or not? Don't know. Maybe just something like this, even. Controlling d1 square, now queen a1 becomes a real threat. Because after rook d1 I just take the rook. That's the thing. And I don't say clear defense except for queen d8, rook d8, rook d8, king h7, then king runs away. But of course, I have knight e4 check after that, so it should be. Should be just decisive, I think. So this time I'm reading comments from my smartphone. That's why I'm looking a bit strange probably. Because usually I do something like this. To read the comments, now I do something like this. Okay. As I said before, I have some technical issues this time. Sorry for that. And it says my opponent disconnected. My opponent disconnected. I hope it is just a coincidence. Yeah, it is a coincidence. All right, let's take it. Now what? What to do? What to do? Just goes away. Because I already have extra minor piece. And king is forced back to e1, where after it is checkmated. Okay, so I was very lucky. I was very, very lucky in this game. After queen e7, white continued correctly, queen to d1. So the point here is that if queen takes e7, let's say, I take with the knight, and after normal knight to c3, I have this idea. Or maybe to start with knight to b4 and then d5, I think. That is the correct order of moves. The point is, if white plays bishop d3, just like in a line with queen f6, there is something like this. So d5, ed5, and bishop to f5. That is the point behind having the knight on e7. Just compare it to, let's say, queen to f6 move. So after queen f6, takes, knight to c3, knight to b4, bishop to d3. Okay, if d5, I just take. And there is no bishop f5. That's the point. That's why queen d1 is the best move here. After knight f6, knight c3, d6. Okay, bishop g5 is all right. Bishop to e6, but here I guess knight to d5 should be played. So very nice move. I don't know, very natural one, just attacking the queen, forcing me to take. Then e takes d5, attacking the knight. And then very simple play like c4, bishop e2, castle. So two bishops against two knights. This typical pawn structure for variety of Sicilians. And I think white should be slightly better for sure. So I prefer this as white, and I find it very simple to play. So bishop d3 just puts the bishop on very passive position, I guess. And after that, black doesn't have serious problems. So there are different moves possible, like knight b4, probably even something like rook d8 followed by d5, super straightforward, should be also playable. So I mean, okay, knight g4 was not necessary to play because of this bishop b6, but even this proved to be not so bad. I guess castling short was much safer option than castling long, because after that I have very simple play, while White doesn't have real attack here on the king side, in my opinion. I already have the idea of taking on c3, which is very simple and very typical. Sacrifice. If knight goes away, I can consider taking on c2, giving up 2 rooks for the queen, but we still have other minor pieces on the board. I can grab the e4 pawn, so it should be promising for black. So I guess castling short was better a bit. Okay, so let us continue. Let's search for somebody I've never played before. Is there anybody? Yes, here it is. Newgate from Mexico. Yeah, we never played. Let's do it. Accept. I'm playing with white pieces again. I'm gonna try something not very typical. Usually I play e4. Let's try knight to f3. So, should I just undermine the pawn right now? Not so sure, but okay, let's try it. Let us try it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Next, let's just play something. So now my plan can be connected with, say, rook to b1, b4, b5. So I have this bishop on g2. My long-term strategy is more or less based on trying to make this diagonal h1, a8 open for this bishop. So I already undermined d5 pawn. It's also a good idea to try to do the same to the pawn c6. Okay, what about this? Just b4. So a file is open, which is an achievement for black, of course. But I have very straightforward play. So b4, b5, and so on. Bishop to e6, interesting try. I have to understand if d5 takes c4 is a threat. I'm not sure. So dc4, knight c4. Anyway, something that I wanted to do. But probably it still makes sense to protect this pawn. So to play queen c2, let's say, looks like an option. So if dc4, knight c4, bishop c4, I will take with the queen. Or maybe with the pawn in this case. Now it's not so clear to me how black is going to... Okay, b5. So I mean, if knight d7, then knight d4 was planned. But b5, doesn't it weaken the position a lot? Like c5 square looks completely weak now. Let's just take. And let's just play knight to b3. Go into c5, I guess. Okay, knight d7. Now I think I can just play knight to d4 with this one. Looks a bit strange. I mean, now I attack b5. I want to grab the bishop, damaging the pawn structure. I want to play knight c6 maybe even. Lots of different threats, lots of different ideas. Do you know? What about knight c6 now? Attacking e7. Rook e8 is more or less forced, where after I can play bishop to e3 attacking the queen. I hope I don't blunder something simple, but it looks very attractive now. And then my knight can be supported by another one from a5. So too many weaknesses in black's camp. I don't think it was a good idea for black to play this way. I mean, b5 looked very, very dubious. Now it's not clear where to put the queen. Is there a good square for it? Queen c7 is definitely not possible because of simple tactics. So b7, I'll just put my knight on a5, I guess. Oh, d4. Okay, it doesn't change a lot. I mean, I can take. With the bishop, everything is protected. So probably queen b7 was a move after all, because here I just take with the rook. And I simply have extra pawn in addition to all these threats that are still here. Queen a6. Wow. Should be already a winning position for white. It's knight e7, rook e7, bishop 8, queen a8 is unclear. Rook a1 right now looks absolutely possible, but then queen a1, bishop a1, rook a1, what is this? This is probably still winning, I guess. So let's play rook a1. Just attacking the queen. So I'm already a pawn up, and after queen a1, bishop a1, rook a1, what is going on here? I have a queen against the rook and the minor piece. Still have a pawn, extra pawn, so it should be technically winning position, especially taking into account that the rook on e8 is very passive, just pinned to e7. There are many other factors, of course. For instance, now I can attack b5 like this. So one has very simple play. So I'm gonna take on b5 next move, even if rook goes to b8. Okay, I just take on b5 and rook on a4 will be hanging. Knight to b6. What's going on here? So maybe queen c6 now. Then knight goes to d7. Not so clear. Let's just take the pawn. It cannot be a bad move. And say queen to b3. Still controlling everything. Having two pawns now. In addition to the queen. And knight on b5 controls a lot of important squares, by the way. So it controls like c3. This is another blunder. And I wanted to say that it's quite hard for black to deal with this knight, because it is like not so simple to attack. Okay, so I think black's problem started somewhere from the move bishop to e6, but especially after b5. I think b5 is a serious mistake. It just weakens everything here. But even this bishop e6 is not so clear to me. So I would have played probably knight to d7 here, just to try to prepare e5 with some counterplay in the center. So to play e5, e4 like this. So I'm attacking here, trying to achieve something, and not clear if I will achieve something. And black should just react with the counterattack in the center, or at least trying to bring the knight to a good position. So let's say if I play b5, it's always possible to think of something like knight to c5, maybe then knight to a4, something like this. And from here, the knight will protect b7, so the bishop will go somewhere to f5 or maybe g4. So everything depends on what will happen to the pawn structure here. Bishop e6 is a bit strange to me, so it doesn't do anything here in e6, to be honest. It is placed quite ugly, so position is very vulnerable. I have different ideas connected with knight d4 move at any moment, so if you play something like knight to d7, then I play knight d4, just grab the bishop and so on. But b5 is definitely the main mistake, because after that cb5, look, so many squares that are weak here, and my knights have direct access to all of them. This c5, d4, a5, too many strong points. No surprises that after knight b3, black is already in sort of trouble, I guess. So now knight c6 attacking e7, rook here, bishop e3. So queen b7 was still possible, by the way. So queen b7 was a move, because if I play knight to a5 or queen to a6, there is no direct win for white. So rook a1, okay, doesn't create a threat even. So here I would have played something, I don't know what, maybe bishop d4 followed by f4 at some point. So yeah, probably bishop d4 would be my choice. Followed by f4, maybe e4, gradually improving position. I know this position is quite annoying for black because white controls a lot of squares. But still it was playable. After d4 it's just lost because we have basically the same. Probably it was a blunder. Probably black thought that after bishop b3 I have to take with the queen, but I have rook takes b3 and now it's just lost. Alright, so thanks for the game. Let's continue one more game against the guy I've never played before, and then we come back to normal order of challengers. So let's see, what do we have here? Okay, the one from Switzerland. Accept. Black pieces again. I mean, the previous one was of course played with white pieces, but feels like this time we have just a normal system, because in many cases it looks like 5 or 6 games with one color in a row, which is not very pleasant. So here we have just like one by one. Very nice. Okay, French defense. Never played it as black. Again, something new to me. Looks a bit strange. I mean, I usually see this position from white's perspective. This time I'm like playing with black. So let's try to do something more or less typical. So bishop e2, okay. One of possible ways of playing it. Should I play queen b6 or b4? I have no idea what to play here. Never played this. Knight b6, knight c4 is probably stupid. But b4 is also a bit strange. So maybe queen to b6. So Chronic Student says that I did play the French against him. Okay, probably. I just forgot. I just forgot. Okay, let's try queen b6. So, what do we have here? Something very typical for this system with a6 and b5. So there is no pawn on d4 anymore, but this square can be used by the knight. But there is knight e4 move, which literally forces knight takes e4, de4, and then knight should go away, maybe to g5. I'm not sure if it is good for me. Maybe I should wait a bit and play something like bishop b7 first to prepare everything carefully. Maybe I should just castle here. I don't know. So let's start with the bishop b7. So when I play knight e4, knight e4, d4, this pawn will be a bit better protected. Now I have a feeling that I can even try castling here. Maybe it's completely wrong, I don't know. But it feels like a possibility. So what about this move now? Knight e4. Does it give me something or not? Great comment from Lucas. He says, when I started playing in the chess club, I used to play the French all the time for years. It taught me what suffering is all about. Yeah, that's right. That's why I don't play it, actually, as black. I also think it's like suffering. More of a suffering than anything else, I mean. So, queen to d3. Now what to play? Taking everything on d4, then taking on c3 damages the pawn structure, but my bishop is completely bad. So it's a bad idea, I think. So it's better to wait until white takes on e4, in fact. I think that's the better strategy. So how to provoke this exchange? Maybe queen c5. Maybe queen c5. Maybe just king b8. Rook c8 at some point. Just sort of regrouping. Have no idea what to play here. Let's play this. Okay, bishop f3. Now probably no, it's still not a threat. I mean, taking on e4. All right, it's still not a threat, I guess. So let's prepare something in the center, maybe f6. So what about this? I mean, I'm ready to sacrifice even on e4 if it will make my bishop active. So I don't care. If it is possible to grab the pawn on e4, let it be. Oh, this is something like a blunder, I guess. Castling into it. So the knight is pinned, I mean, on d4, and I grab it. I just grab it. Okay, this sort of suffering is quite pleasant. Still suffering, by the way. But now the suffering with the extra material. So this bishop is very stupid. But that's the extra piece after all, so that's okay. Let's go. Let's go and attack. King h1 was played. All right, I don't care. Let's open up. Let's open up everything here. Now what to do? Let's try queen e6. Intending to bring the queen to h3 even, if it is possible. Okay, queen f4 is just one check. Now let's open up the diagonal finally for my queen and the bishop. And this French bishop is free. Like a relief. All right. So was lucky in this game. I'm not sure that white played best moves, so definitely a3 is a possibility, and probably bishop e2 as well. And after queen to b6, I have a feeling that something simple like queen d2 is better. So simply waiting for black's cd4 move, because dc5 actually helps me a bit. That is what I want to achieve. So it's better to provoke cd4 to take with the knight on d4. So in this case, you sort of win a tempo or something. Then you overprotect d4 square and you're better as white. So I would have played something like queen d2 here, to be honest. Preparing rook to d1 and so forth. There is also an interesting idea, as far as I know, just to play queen to d2, after b5 to take on c5, and after bishop takes c5 just to play knight to e2. It's a very fresh idea, if I'm not mistaken. So many top players prefer this one against this a6 b5, and then knight simply goes to d4 while the dark square bishops are being exchanged and black is suffering until the rest of the game with this stupid French bishop. All right. Let us continue. So now let's come back to a normal order of challenges. The first one was Artur Navrovsky. Let's play Artur. And white pieces, yeah. What to try? Again, let's play knight f3. Let us play knight f3. But b3 this time. G6, bishop b2. And let's try this psychological attack. Psycho attack. Of course it's nothing, but who knows? Maybe my opponent will confuse something. And this is strange, because I can grab a pawn. It's already an extra pawn. Knight g4 drops the bishop on h8. T-shirt attack, says Gromnik student. Yeah, that's right. Okay, f6 attacking my knight and burying my bishop. Very strange position. Okay, what about e3? Counter-attack. Knight on g4 is hanging. And also the preparation of bishop d3 with the development. Or maybe bishop e2. Bishop e2 looks also nice. Again, attacking this knight. If knight goes away, then bishop h5 check is possible. I'm not sure if it is a good idea in general, but looks promising, I don't know. Knight h2. All this looks very strange. Indeed. So bishop h5, king probably goes to d7. Then I can play knight to f7, attacking the queen. Then queen goes to g8 and feels like I'm just helping my opponent to attack me. Maybe it's a good idea just to run away this way. No? No. Not a good idea. Okay, what about check? Looks very strange, I know. And after king d7, so like bishop g4 check. So, king f8 or king d7? What would be played? King f8. I thought king d7 is a bit more promising, but maybe I'm wrong a bit. So now I guess I can play knight f7 if I want, but then after queen e8, what is my follow-up? This knight on h2 is quite annoying, right? So maybe it's a good idea just to exchange it. I don't know, knight f3. Isn't it a good move? Yeah, now I connect my queen. Alright, I will probably lose my bishop on h8, but the king is so exposed there There should be checkmate. So after king g8, let's say I have bishop g6. And then after king h8, queen h5, and checkmate. Yeah, probably I don't even lose my bishop on h8. Yeah, it looks like official random. So extra material, and open king. So I have a target. And it is opponent's king. e5 drops f6, and I think there is no reason I shouldn't take. Okay, queen d7 was played already. So now what? Bishop e7 looks like a checkmate. Bishop e7 looks like a checkmate. Check. Check and checkmate on e8. Okay, so interesting game. But of course g5 is a mistake. h6 is playable, so it's okay, but it's not needed even. I think simple castling is just good enough. And after g5, you play knight h5 or knight e8, and after this exchange on g7, all right, you control everything perfectly. You start just counterattack here in the center quickly, and you're better as black already, I think. So like f6, undermine the pawn also comes to mind easily. But h6 is okay. h6 is playable. After h4, I think you shouldn't react at all, because there is no threat since my rook is hanging. And something simple like d6 should be played. So just attacking g4 with the bishop, and intended to play something like e5 closing my bishop. So again, I think long-term black should be just much better. And g5 is a mistake. Yeah, so after g5 I just take. And now I have extra material, but still it is not lost, I think, for black. So knight takes g4 was a losing move. Instead of doing it, I would have played something like d6 as well. Attacking g4 and preparing e5, closing my bishop, and actually activating the queen, and so forth. So after all, white only has extra pawn. It's not clear if it is even an advantage here. So if I start protecting it somehow, like, I don't know, playing some stupid like f3, I'm at risk. So I guess e5 looks very, very promising. So now knight g4 is a threat, just taking my knight, and so on. So I would take black even here. So yeah, d6 was still absolutely playable, and yeah, just good for black, I would say. So knight g4 is a bad move. Bishop takes h8 now, and most likely I'm already winning. But still, instead of playing f6, I would have played some like e5, probably just attacking the knight, trying to activate the queen somehow. I mean, if I play knight f3, there is e4, and then queen to h4 with some sort of counterattack. Maybe it's still okay, by the way. Maybe it's still okay for black. I'm not so sure. Probably somewhere here I have to give this knight back and focus on development. So to do something like this, e takes f3, e takes f3, attacking the knight, then queen e2, quickly castling, so white should have the advantage, but still it was interesting to try. Because if I play knight e4, then queen h4, attacking the bishop, and f2 is potentially under attack, so it's unclear, in my opinion. Yeah, but after f6, yeah, I think it's over. So f6 was just too slow, and it only attacks my knight. I mean, it doesn't connect other pieces to the game, which is bad. Okay. Anyway, let us continue, and the next is shelling forward, accept. And I have a very bad feeling that I will be just crushed. Because I'm still suffering after Grenke Chess Open. I'm in very bad shape. And Lucas is a very strong opponent, so let's try not to lose. So what if we try the same plan? Like b4, b5. Okay, knight a6 stops me from playing immediate b4. Very nice. Idea. So probably I should play something like bishop b2, at least trying to complete a development. Again, this b5 looks a bit over-ambitious because I have this move. If I'm not mistaken, just attacking c6 and the bishop at the same time. Queen d7. All right. So let's grab the bishop and damage the pawn structure at the same time. So now I think it's a good idea for me to take on b5, making d5 a bit more vulnerable. And really just bringing the knight to a better position, somewhere to the center, maybe d4. d4 looks like a nice position for the knight after all these changes in the pawn structure. So pair of bishops, my bishop on g2 is not that limited after the exchange on b5. My knight on d4 looks very, very strong. Yeah, I like my position now. I like my position. Knight c5. All right, so black is ready to meet b4 with capture and knight to a4. Understandable. Understandable. So what about simple queen to d2? I just watch this a5 pawn. At the same time, I control h6. So maybe I want to play some like bishop h3 or queen f4 attacking f5. And then if g6, I can grab the pawn. Sort of idea. Okay, king h7 protecting h6. What is next? What is next? So I can still try this bishop h3, g6 weakens the position a bit. So maybe it's a good idea. Let's just attack this pawn. And by the way, I can consider even sacrificing something on f5. I mean, if there is g6, I can probably just play queen f4, then sack on f5 is here. But then bishop d6, bishop e5, pinning my knight. Not completely clear. But still I can take on f5 there. So should be just good. Maybe it's too straightforward, yeah. 96, I just missed it. I just missed it. But anyway. Yeah, it was stupid. Just stupid. What I did here. I completely misplayed it. I just completely misplayed it. Okay, didn't expect this. I thought f takes c6 would have been played. Just making the pawn structure rock solid. So after queen e6, I'm probably still better. All right, that's interesting. So bishop c5 is a threat, I guess. Bishop c5. Very strange position. What about just attacking d5? After the knight is on h5 and there is no knight f6 move, it will be very hard to protect it. All right, so now it's winning, but I still have to win it. So let's just play normal moves. Normal moves. So, bishop c6, rook somewhere, bishop takes b5, winning one more pawn. I think that's the way. And this is just bishop f6, but then knight e4. Okay, not entirely clear, so let's just take here. And this is just a blunder, I guess. This is just a blunder. Okay, was lucky in this game. Of course, yeah, after b5, I think white is better. So after b5 was just too early. It's a great move. I mean, it's a very nice one, but bishop h7 should be played first, of course. So prophylaxis first, and then preparing this b5. b5 was overambitious. After that, of course, knight e4, attacking c6, and knight f5. Here, white is much better. So pair of bishops, much better pawn structure. The knight simply gets to d4, and so on. But somewhere here, I started playing not very convincing chess. So maybe queen f4 instead of bishop h3 was better, in fact, to avoid this knight a6 idea. So queen f4, g6, then what? Not so sure. Not so sure. So my idea was, of course, after bishop h3 and g6 to play queen f4 and to take on f5. Could I take on f5 immediately, by the way? That's an interesting thing. So gf5 and queen f4 now, it's sort of typical sec, but I'm not sure if it works here. So I'm going to take on f5 simply. So at the moment I'm a minor piece down for only one pawn, but f5 definitely drops, right? Kramnik student says queen f4, g6, bishop h3. That is exactly what happened in our game, but with a different move order. So I played... I played queen f4 and knight e6. What happened in our game? Yeah, bishop h3, g6, queen f4, knight e6. It's just the same position, Kramnik student. So what about this? That's interesting. So king g6. No, it's too much. I think it's just too much. Well, it doesn't need it at all. So bishop h3, g6. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe here something like this. Forcing g6 and now queen f3. So that's what I wanted to achieve with the bishop on h3 already. Then creating sort of knight f5. But knight e6 is still possible here, I guess. But here knight takes f5 should be considered. So gf5, queen f5 check. Forcing king to g7. Again, it doesn't look like it's enough. But here I can take on d5. In fact, because queen d5, I'm winning the queen. Rook goes away somewhere, then e4. Yeah, I have a compensation, but again, it's really hard to believe that it is the best way to play it. Don't know. So it requires additional analysis, I guess. Maybe just to play like bishop h3, g6, and to come back to g2. Maybe bishop c1, but then bishop f8. I didn't see anything concrete there. Probably something connected with just knight f3, placing the knight on e5 now, and at some point just, well, undermining everything with the e4. So position is quite promising. Okay. Anyway, after knight e6, knight takes e6. I thought that f takes e6 would be very nice for black. I mean, white should be still a bit better because potentially there are a lot of weaknesses, and once I play something like e4, will be very hard for black to protect everything. Maybe I can play e4 right now, but after d4, knight e4, it's unclear if I achieve anything concrete. So I would have played something like bishop g2 probably, and then e4 at some point. But it felt like it's anyway a bit better than queen e6 because in this case there is still this weakness on d5. Yeah. The rest was just not very hard for white, so I just made natural moves attacking something in black's camp, and was lucky a bit because my strong opponent made several inaccuracies after that. All right, Azure Mist is the next, except third game with white in a row. That's bad. That's bad. But okay. When you play as white, it's easier to come up with experimenting. So b3, the move that I play quite frequently when I'm in the mood to try something weird. So bishop e7, knight e2. I have one weird idea. This one. I want to play g4, I mean. Open up the g file. I'm not sure that I will do this next move, but yeah, h3 is just a great hint. Great hint for black what white is going to play sooner or later. So there's g4, takes, knight g4, rook g1, something like this. Maybe it's playable right away. Is it? Let's try. I don't know. So takes, rook g1. Then what? Knight f2, king f2, bishop h4. Should have been considered prior to playing g4, but okay. g4 is already on the board. And I guess there I'm okay. So king goes to g2. Yeah, I'm safe because I control g5 square. But there's bishop b7 pinning my knight. I mean, I'm calculating this line. Takes, knight g4, rook g1, knight takes f2. But after knight f2, I have intermediate rook g7. I'm sorry. I don't have to take on f2. I'm stupid. Just rook g7, and that's great for white. Okay, that is something strange. So if black wanted actually avoid taking on g4 with the knight, I guess it was much more logical to keep the g file closed, so not to take with the pawn at all, to play bishop b7 immediately, because after this, okay, g file is closed, but h file is open now. So I achieved something for free, I guess. So what if I just play g5, knight g4, something like bishop h3? I think after g5 the knight will go somewhere else, not to g4. Because on g4 it may be just trapped very soon. Or maybe I just overestimate my position. That can be also the case. So the knight g4, maybe even rook h4 is a bit better than bishop h3 to start with. And then if rook f4 protecting it, then maybe bishop h3. Knight takes f2, king f2, rook h4, knight h4. Yeah, I'm fine. All right, knight d5. Need my queen somewhere on h5, but it's not realistic to get there quickly. Or maybe I can do the following. So to start with c4, attacking the knight. Now probably just e3, attacking the knight again. d3 is protected by the bishop. Knight on f3 is protected twice, so there is no tactics like knight takes d3. Which means that the knight is forced there, okay. And now it becomes much more realistic to get to h5 with the queen at some point. What about bishop g2? So I mean, if bishop g5, then knight takes g5, bishop takes g2, and queen h5. Intermediate move. That feels like a trouble for black. So if queen g5, then bishop b7, right? And here I just play queen h5 immediately. There is a checkmate threat on h7. And I don't see a good defense. So if h6, I just take on g6. It's over. So there was a suggestion from crowning student, knight e4 and queen h5. Was probably on the previous move, I don't know. When the bishop was already on g2, because if the bishop was on f1, then bishop h1 was possible. And queen h5 after that is not very dangerous, I mean. Okay, h6, now I just... Oh, queen g5 is possible. Oh my god. I just missed it. Alright, do I have bishop g7 now? Not really. So probably I have to take on e6 first. Take c6 and then queen g6, right? Yeah, that is the right order of moves. Otherwise, I don't achieve anything. Okay, I'm still better after queen g6, queen g5, queen g5, hg5, rook g1, bishop somewhere, rook g5. Maybe that is a good idea as well. Not so sure, so let's take here instead. Just intermediate capture. Probably queen g5 will be played anyway. But in this case, I have one more pawn at my disposal, and this move also attacks the bishop, so queen g5 is definitely forced. Where after I will take on e6 maybe. Forcing the king to h7. It's very close to winning. Very close to winning. Or maybe, oh no. It's just a checkmate in one. So bishop on b2 was also involved in the process. All right. So what happened here? Most likely knight g4 was playable here. I mean, I cannot believe that white has a sufficient compensation here. Especially after rook g1, well, if h5, just ignoring everything simply. And then just bishop f6 exchanging my main attacking piece, or neutralizing it. I think black should be just fine. There is also a threat of just playing that bishop h4, by the way. Knight to e3 is also a threat if bishop doesn't attack g7, of course, at some point. So lots of threats. I think taking on g4 was just good. And if you didn't want to actually take on g4 second time, probably it was better for you to play just this. In which case, position remains closed, right? It was logical, at least, not to open up h-file for me. Because after that, I think I have very decent play. So, probably knight e8 was a bit better. The knight d5, just, you don't give me this tempi. You overprotect g7 here, you counterattack on g5. I don't have the direct queen h5 or something. Of course, I can simply play something like rook g1 here and, well, gradually develop my initiative there. But, well, it's playable, so you do also something like completing a development and so forth, okay? But knight d5 is already dubious, I think, so here, bishop g2. Well, at least here, bishop g5. Was probably just a decisive mistake. So knight g5, now it's over. Bishop takes g2, just queen h5. Yeah, this position is very bad. After h6, by the way, the only defense, I guess. Knight e6 takes queen g6. Yeah, queen g5 was forced. I thought I would play something like queen takes g5 simply. Takes g5 and rook g1. Bishop goes away somewhere, let's say here. I just take on g5, attacking g7, and I have extra pawn, right? Better pawn structure, very simple plan of attack, like knight to e4, castles, another rook to g1, and at some point I just get to this g7. Should be technically winning for white. Okay. Next one, Graf von Paulin, accept. Finally, black pieces. All right. Let's try something not very typical. Okay. Here we are, playing something strange. So it's a very bad version of Marozzi for black, I think. My pieces are just misplaced. But it doesn't mean that I will not fight. So first controlling b5. My knight should be somewhere else. It should be on c6, in fact. So let's go to c6. So an interesting thing, when you have this e4, c4 against e6, d6, a6, and your knight is on c6, the typical maneuver is knight e5, knight d7, because it is better placed there. But when you have this against bishop on g7, I think knight on c6 is better than on d7 for sure, because you almost never play e6 in such a situation. And it's really hard to play b6, bishop b7 until this knight on d4 is exchanged. So that's my idea. I want to grab the knight on d4. Okay. Or maybe not. I don't know. So let's wait a bit. So bishop d7 first. Maybe after b4, I would play something like rook c8, knight e5, attacking c4 pawn. f4, okay. Aggressive play. Aggressive play. I don't think there is a threat, so let's play rook c8. Bishop f3. But now it feels like I can take on d4 and take on c4. Isn't it a pawn? But then e5 attacking b7. It's hard to evaluate. e5 is a move, is a typical thing against f4, by the way. Oh, too many things. Too many things to evaluate. Unclear, unclear, absolutely unclear thing. I'm gonna grab this one and this one as well. And then we will see, because e5 is not necessarily that great. It puts the pawn in a very vulnerable position, in my opinion, and I'll have some play connected with attacking all these central squares, I think. I might be wrong completely. And by the way, after e5, I also have a very interesting idea of just playing knight h5 all of a sudden. So just like in Benoni, I mean, if bishop h5, gh5, h5 is not necessarily something that drops immediately, which means I grab the light squared bishop, which is very important here. I still have an extra pawn. And I have some play, but it's risky, of course. It is always risky. But after bishop f6, I'm completely fine. I mean, just having pair of bishops and, well, extra pawn. Come on. No, bishop f6 was just a very bad move. e5 was an interesting idea. All right. Check. So takes e6 or just bishop e6 or what? What to play here? Too many good moves here for black. I don't know which one to make. Let's play just the e6. Yeah, it's hard for white to find a good move now. Knight to b4. All right. Queen to b6 looks very logical. Queen to f6 as well. But then knight takes a6. Queen takes f4. Yeah, this looks nice. So let's try it. After queen f6, I attack a lot of dark squared weaknesses here. Rook c4, bc4, queen c4 is obviously bad because of bishop b5 by the end of the line. So with the help of this, I just improve my pawn structure. Okay, my opponent missed this. Yeah, Graf von Palen was inaccurate this time. Too many blunders. Okay. So, white resigned. Everything is clear that after bishop f6, actually, position was just very bad. The only interesting possibility, in my opinion, was just c5, actually. Where after I didn't see a clear way, actually, to achieve something. So b7 is a minor issue. In fact, what's important here, what to do with the knight, where to put it. Even after knight h5, the move that I considered, attacking f4 and g3 square, one can simply ignore this knight and play something really strong in the center, like bishop d5, forcing my rook to probably c8, where after it is possible to take on b7 with the tempo, than to take on a6 at very least. So I think white is even better here. I mean, that was probably a bad idea for me to take on c4, right? That was probably a bad idea. Maybe taking on d4 was premature. I don't know. As I said before, something like e5 should be a typical move here. But after knight c6, bishop c6, and f5, I thought white would have very simple play, like g4, g5, and so on. Yeah, probably it's not from this position, okay? A typical thing can happen if I take on d4, bishop d4, and then e5, and actually taking on f4, just getting rid of this strong central pair, f4, e4, grabbing e5 square for my pieces, and so on. But for that, I need the control over e5, a better one than it is at the moment. Maybe there was something like this. Look at this. So, takes, e5, takes. Say, bishop takes e5, queen b6 check. I considered this briefly, but I didn't see this one. Queen takes b2. Very, very hard to evaluate this, of course, when you play a blitz game. Now, bishop f6, I thought that this would be just the refutation. Bishop f6 and now queen d7, but knight on c3 is still hanging. That's the thing that I missed. So that was interesting. That was interesting line. Very strange position. Definitely double-edged. So bishop e5, queen d2, queen f4, something like this. Yeah, very, very nice. Very interesting line. Maybe I missed something. But for now, looks very interesting. Maybe rook f2 simply. That is what I'm missing here. Just protecting b2 pawn. And it's not clear what for I sacrificed my pawn. For some activity, but now there is definitely a threat of bishop f6 followed by queen d7. Like, again, not so clear because of bishop d4 after that. So I have no idea. Yeah, that was interesting, but not clear. Maybe knight g4. Takes. Oh my god, this is so complicated. It was definitely just impossible to find all this in the blitz game. And now just something like rook d8, right? First, queen somewhere. Okay, let's forget about it. That was just very complicated, but still, e5 was your best possibility there after rook c4. Okay, next one is Zurin 7-7, accept. So a few more games, I think 2, most likely. Bishop f6 followed by knight e5. Says Madly, I'm not sure that it was possible because after queen b6 it was check, so white should have reacted. And then when my queen on b2, let's say, if white doesn't play rook f2, then bishop f6 followed by knight e5 is probably not that dangerous. I mean, all right, e4. Let's play knight c6. What is this? This is like Scandinavian, I guess. It is. It is Scandinavian with the knight on c6, and knight is still not on c3, so a strange version of this one. Let's castle. There is a baby crying. Yeah, there is a baby crying. That is my son on the background. Can I play e5 in this position? I'm not so sure, but let's try it. The question, is he a grandmaster yet? Of course he is. Grandmaster of Crime. Okay, c3 and then c4. Something really sophisticated. Maybe it's okay. Maybe it's fine. What about queen e4 now? Looks a bit strange. Knight c3, bishop b4, castles, bishop c3, bc3, then taking on d4. Looks like a pawn, but it's really complicated. Not sure. I have a feeling that I'm missing something here, but let's try it. So if knight g5, then at least I can take on e2 twice. Feels like playable for black. Knight c3, now bishop b4, pinning the knight. That's what I wanted to try. Too many pins all around. Everything's pinned, like strange position. Really strange. Okay, now I have to take this one. So there is a suggestion to play just d5, but in that case, well, there is no threat to start with. And I could have played knight to d4, I think. I have a feeling that I still can just take on d4. I mean, the point is the following. If knight g5, I just take on e2 with the queen, attacking the queen on d1. And if queen e2, then bishop e2 attacking the rook. And if rook e1, then bishop c4 protecting on f7 even. So maybe I'm fine here, just grabbing all this material. And if bishop d3, in addition to just going away with the queen, I have bishop f3 as well. Just additional option. Looks nice, all this. Okay. Now the bishop is protected, which means what? White is ready to jump with the knight, most likely, to g5 or to d4. Well, everywhere, actually. What to do? d3 or d takes c3. What is logical? d3 looks like a move. d3 looks like a move. Let's try d3. So I like this passed pawn on d3, limiting the resources of my opponent. Yeah. After knight g5, I wanted to take on e2 with the queen simply. So now I can take on f3, damaging the pawn structure. I think it's a good idea. Yeah, let's do it. G takes f3. Now simply taking on c4 or check on g6, both look like very decent moves. I don't know which one is better. So after queen g6, bishop g2, d2 is even a possibility for me. Hard to say. I will just grab the pawn. One more. So now I have 2 extra pawns. In addition to this beauty on d3, but, well, after taking on c4, it's also possible for white to attack this pawn because it is pinned, but I guess it's a minor issue. So let's just complete the development and get to attack on the king side, or maybe I'll just play in the center or something. Okay, rook b1. Nothing is hanging at the moment. Nothing is hanging. So what to do now? To bring the rook to d5 or not to bring the rook to d5? I just want to double my rooks, along the d file. To overprotect d3. Maybe to have a possibility of the rook lift, if necessary. Okay, queen b1 is probably prepared gradually. Still not sure if it is a big danger. No, queen d2 simply. Okay, now time to win the game, I think. Let's go here. Bringing the queen closer to exposed queen. Sorry, bring the queen closer to exposed king, of course. f4. Now, knight to e4 looks amazingly strong. Knight to g4 looks just good enough. Rook to h5, forcing h3. And then what? There should be something like a checkmate very soon. Maybe g5. Yeah, let's play g5. Maybe that was a mistake. Maybe not. No, it was a mistake. It was a mistake for sure. Stupid play. And I have no time. So Was super lucky in this game. Was super lucky. So I misplayed it somewhere here. So everything was just fine, but I played this move. It felt very good. But after f4, well, this g5, I just missed completely this bishop g2 possibility somehow. Don't know how. So probably the most natural was the best, like knight g4, forcing h3, or maybe knight e4. Okay, knight e4, where the queen goes, that's the question. So queen c1 is not possible. Queen b2, just d2. I think it's lost already. Queen d1 maybe. Then anyway, d2 looks just wow. I'm probably very tired already that I just don't see these simple things. But it should be somehow winning. I don't know. So position is so great. Oh my god. Yeah, maybe just, knight g4, knight takes e3 then, and yeah, 2 extra pawns. Come on, it should be winning, of course. Knight a5 followed by knight c4 is another idea, and so on. Yeah. Yeah, I misplayed it in a very, very stupid way here. So after this bishop to g2, well, position is no longer that clear, of course. So bishop is very active now. That's why, by the way, I didn't go away with the rook from d5, because such a bishop on g2 is worth the rook. And most likely here I made another mistake, so maybe this move was much better than what I played. Because after g takes f4, bishop just gets to g3. Another idea I missed, completely closing the g file. And after rook g8, I'm waiting. And after f takes g5, I can do something like a rook takes g5, I guess. So I'm an exchange down, but this g file is open, knight to g4. But okay, position is no longer clear. So after simple queen takes d3, I guess white has also very strong counter threats. Yeah, it's no longer that great. It's no longer that great after g5 and bishop g2. All right, and white did something strange here. So after this bishop g4, bishop e2 castles, I actually expected knight to c3 move, but c3? Okay, maybe it's playable. I'm not a big expert here, but the c3 followed by c4 is definitely something strange. So I'm better developed now, and no surprises I have, annoying threats. So yeah, feels like there is no moment for white to punish me for this play, because there is nothing wrong with all this. I just have more pieces already in the play. So that's why everything works tactically, I think. Okay, one more game, guys, for tonight, and it's over. So Yetzel is the next one. I'm playing with white, so what to try? Okay, let's finally play e4. French defense, but now I am playing with the pieces of the correct color, with white. Okay, I don't remember all these things, but let's try something very simple. So I'm just trying to play simple moves. Probably it's not the best strategy. But it doesn't feel entirely wrong. That's what I mean. So I'm still having slightly better minor pieces. Some sort of perspectives on the king side after h4, knight g5, let's say. Also a simple plan like bishop b5, bishop c6, and then playing with the knight against the bishop. But we shouldn't forget that after this exchange on e5, black already has c5, d4 perspective, so it's like, yeah, not very good plan for white anymore. So I mean, this bishop is not that bad. That's what I mean. h6. Okay. So h6 creates a weakness at least. So basically, how can I use this weakness? I'm not that sure, so let's start with prophylaxis. Just king b1, avoiding checks and so forth. And okay, my opponent wants to play b5, b4. It's clear. I should play something like g4, g5. Do I have some sacrifices like knight g5? But knight g5 doesn't create a threat necessarily. So it's just a guy for me to go away with the bishop and play g4, g5. I mean, protecting the knight first, and then g4, g5. But it's a bit slow. It's a bit slow. Don't really like it. What can be a bit faster? Like, putting the bishop on g6 is not that great because of knight e7. All right. Have to make a decision now. Let's play bishop e2. I don't see anything better than g4, g5 plan here, to be honest. So let's do it. Let's go. Queen e3 was probably a bit more accurate to avoid immediate opening of the b file. But, okay. I just think that this opening of the b file is not necessarily that dangerous for white, so I guess I'll manage. Right, a5. Okay, if black will recapture with the pawn, I'm happy to see that on the board. So now it's a question to play h5 or to play g5, because after g5, h5, g6, it is also quite promising. So then knight to g5, taking h5, but it's again feels a bit slow. So I have a feeling that if I play h5 first and then g5, I will be faster with my attack. So let's try this one. Okay, I guess I can just take. Well, this is not dangerous. I mean, it was much more promising, in my opinion, to take with the piece, with the knight or with the rook. And for that, black didn't even need the a5 move, so it was a waste of time, in my opinion. But okay, let's see. b3. Okay, I'm gonna just grab it. Rook b4. All right, it's interesting. It's really interesting. So rook e4 is potentially annoying. It's potentially annoying. Maybe I should just put my bishop on d3 now to prevent it. Yeah, I guess it's an interesting move. So intended bishop c2 at some point. This also looks nice. So if rook takes b3, just bishop h7, and queen takes b3, I mean. And if this, then just bishop c2, with the idea of queen to d3. So additional attacking idea, by the way, so queen to d3. Just the straightforward threat of a checkmate there. Right, black decided to sacrifice the exchange, but I'm not sure that there is a sufficient compensation. So queen c3. Protecting b2, I mean, knight c4 was potentially an idea. But after all this, I think black should be in trouble, more or less. So now g-file is open. G-file is open and g7 is under fire already. So the knight cannot take on f2 or go away somewhere. I have a threat of just playing f3 now. Attacking the knight and then get into g7. King h8, alright. So I think starts feeling like a sacrifice on g7 or something like this. In any case, I just start with the f3, attacking the knight. And now rook g7, king g7, rook g1, king f7 is not that clear, so I'll just play this move instead. So rook g6, creating a sort of rook f6, which is also quite strong, rook h6 as well, and simple rook d1 to g1. Alright, here I just take on h6 because g7 is pinned. And take on h5. It's over now. Yeah, it's lost. Okay, I'm not sure where black made a mistake, the main one, but I have a feeling that a5 was just too slow in such a situation. So b4, in my opinion, looked much more promising. After that, I have to take on b4, and then just the same like in the game. So rook takes b4, queen to b8, or queen to e7, and rook to b8. So it feels like black should be even faster here than white, because soon after this a5 happened, I realized that g5, which I planned initially, is not that promising because of h5, g6, well, it takes so much time for me to get to h5 pawn. And, well, to be efficient, it should be like capture with the queen in that case, so that I will have to play something like h5 and g5. But look, if I play something like this here, okay, even queen e7 just to wait and move. Say g5, I don't think it's a big deal for black right now. So let's say if I take like this, I take my time like this, queen e3, then just rook to b8, attacking b2, and well, rook e4 is here. If I play b3, there are so many different ideas like knight a5, knight takes b3. I have a feeling that black is just better here because black is faster with his attack on the queen side that I am with my attack on the king side. Yeah, so a5 was a clear waste of time because, well, your task is not to capture with the pawn here. Your task is to open up the b file. Because after this, you open up the a file, but now you have to make a lot of preparation moves to get there with your heavy pieces. While I just bring my queen already here. I'm going to play g5 right now, so I'm ready for this attack, and you're not. And, well, you probably realized that and sacrificed the pawn, but it was not enough. So here, as you can see, I'm just in time to maneuver my bishop to protect the pawn on b3 and also to create a threat of queen d3 at some point with just a checkmate on h7. And still, this g5 looks absolutely crushing. So that's the thing. Question from Twyhus Andrey, could you please give an outline for the next days until Tuesday, please? Not so sure what will happen in upcoming days, but I will try to come back to the normal schedule. I mean, Sunday will be probably the stream, and Monday should be for sure. So yeah, I'm going to come back to tweeting more actively than during previous days. So just, yeah, follow me on Twitter and you will be notified. Okay, thank you guys for this show, for this evening. So probably in a sense of commentary, it was not that great as usual, because as I said before at the very beginning, so it feels like I'm starting from scratch, so the break was too long, actually. But in the sense of quality, I think it was a quality of play. I mean, and the result, it was quite good this time. I don't remember if I lost even a single game. Probably I won all of them, which is quite nice. So I thought it would be much worse. Thanks a lot. Have a nice weekend and see you very, very soon. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye bye, guys.